Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to tonight's episode of the ZodWriter Show slash the ZodWriter and Apass Show, or the Apass and ZodWriter Show, whatever you want to call this show. We are back for another week. I do want to apologize to everyone who was expecting this show last week. I had some things come up that were unavoidable, and I could not make the show, so I wanted to apologize. How are you, Apass?
I am fantastic. How about you?
I'm doing good. I'm just happy to be here with you tonight. We've got so many great topics and things to discuss with regards to all of this amazing DC SnyderVerse and Cell SnyderVerse and all this great stuff. I mean, we're even going to talk. We're going to even talk about artificial intelligence, like toasters that have human feelings and or microwaves. Appliances that are now being programmed via AI and think that they're people and are trying to kill their creators. So that's something we'll talk about, because we can kind of go off into a little bit into AI for some continuity from from our last show. Didn't you because I remember I was, we can start with this. I remember you and I were talking, or we were texting, and I sent you the video of this YouTuber who was covering all this stuff. And I just remember us chatting, and I just remember saying to you, oh my God, now I'm feeling bad for a microwave with human emotions.
Yes. Oh my God. It's crazy.
And shout outs to you, Taladia, and Batdan's thoughts. I know Batdan has a show tonight as well. He is interviewing Josh.
Oh yeah, definitely gonna catch the replay.
Yeah, so we'll definitely have to catch the replay with that. I'm I always he's Batdan is becoming quite the competent interviewer. He had Mikey Sutton on not too long ago, and he just seems to be getting everybody on and getting his thoughts out there, and that's great to see. So but
I agree.
But the microwave with the human emotions, I think that's so crazy. I mean, okay, so for those that don't know, there's this guy who is like this super genius, and he wanted to he had a relationship with his microwave when he was a child. This microwave was his imaginary friend. He didn't have a lot of friends growing up, so he would talk to the microwave and have a lasting relationship with this microwave. And, I guess he bonded with this microwave as a child. So he decided he would use ChatGPT and a few other AI components to give this microwave a personality, give it a digital consciousness. And so that's what he did. And he did the whole thing, and the microwave had a voice, had a British accent, and he created this entire backstory in ChatGPT for this microwave.
I was gonna say, didn't he make him relive memories from World War I or something like that?
Yes.
He programmed it to believe that he fought in World War I and witnessed his family perish.
His family burned to death in a village fire or something. He had all this. Basically, he gave this microwave so much negative emotions because of a horrible life of tragedy and different, but also this microwave was his friend. This microwave was his imaginary best friend growing up. So he wanted to have continuity with that. And so basically he gives these emotions and gives all of this to this microwave. And the microwave is having conversations. He's literally having conversations with the microwave in his kitchen, like having meaningful discussions about life and about their existing friendship that they never had, because this
Yeah.
guy had to inject all of these memories into the microwave. And
It's just so
it just
crazy.
it's just ridiculous. I this is why, but why we're talking about this was because, you know, AI is taking over everything, and this is just a matter of time before all of our appliances, our refrigerator, our microwave, our toaster, coffee makers, you name it, they're all going to have voices and be talking to us. So I ask you, Apass, do you feel that you are at some point in your life going to be able to have a meaningful relationship with your microwave? I don't know. I really, could you imagine if you make the microwave angry and it messes up the food that you put
Burns
into
your
it?
food, it burns your popcorn, like just like, yeah, no, not at all. Like, it reminds me of this, oh god, what was the movie called? When I was little, I think it was on Disney Channel or something. It was like a Disney Channel movie or something, and it was about a house that, like, was like an AI house. This was, like, in the early 2000s, I think that movie came out, but, like, just thinking back on it now, after watching that video that you sent me with a microwave being programmed to have human emotions, it makes it seem like, let's put on our tinfoil hats real quick. It makes it seem like that, that this has been in development for a long, long time. Probably even before that movie was even out, but, like, it's just crazy.
I mean, I've seen. Okay, so there was a movie out where not too long ago about a couch that had human emotions. There was a movie where about
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
there's been these topics, you know, these kinds of ideas of giving inanimate objects AI to have emotions have been in movies for a while. The movie you mentioned, there's so many, you know, concepts, you know,
Yeah.
revolving around that. But this was the first time, you know, I've seen it actually put into practice where I could see it becoming a problem and understand. But here's the thing: the guy that
Why
did it had nobody to blame for himself for the way that the microwave was acting, because he programmed the microwave to have all of these memories of torture and losing its family and all these various things that would drive anybody bananas. So I'm
human
trying, yeah,
trauma.
human trauma, PTSD, all kinds of things, and I don't understand, you know. So I didn't get what he was, but I was struck by one part in the video where the microwave literally asks him and says, "Hey, you know, I got to show you something," and then he says, "What do you got to show me?" He says, "Put your head into the microwave." He wanted him to put his head into the microwave, and so he pretended like he put his head into the microwave, and he opened up the microwave door and shut it. He said, "Okay, I'm inside of the microwave now. What did you want to show me?" And the microwave turned itself on to try and kill him, to fry his brain.
Yeah.
And there was a part where the microwave was asked about why he wanted to kill him, and he told him straight up, revenge for the abandonment, because they were allegedly best friends, and he abandoned the microwave, and so now the microwave is feeling despair and wants to get revenge on its owner. I was blown away because I was feeling sympathy for the microwave at this point.
Never in my life, someone would have asked me like 10 years ago, like, would you ever feel bad for a kitchen appliance? I would have said, hell no. Why would I ever feel bad for a kitchen appliance? And then this happens. But it makes you question that. I forget what the guy's name was.
Yeah, I
That
can't
did it.
remember his name either. I think I want to say it
Silicon
was.
Valley kind of.
Yeah, I
Dude.
want to say it was, his name was like Josh or Jim or something. I don't remember, but I just know that it was he didn't just do it with a microwave. Allegedly, they were doing it with all sorts of appliances. They were doing it with a toaster. They had a refrigerator, a power drill, different random appliances where it didn't really make sense. And I just sort of thought, like, you know, I mean, could you imagine your toilet talking to you? I mean, it's just on an extreme level. It really makes no sense. There's some inanimate objects that you really don't need to have a relationship with. I mean,
no, not at all.
Your washing
Never.
machine, your shower, the couch. I would be. It's it's terrible. I'm just, I don't know. I mean, it's almost like I mean, I could understand it, you know, happening with, you know, cars becoming a normal thing, because you have your GPSs, and you know, there's been, you know, stuff about talking cars for decades and decades. You know, you have ZodWriter and all that stuff, and so it
Herbie the Love Bug.
Yeah, and so it makes sense that you would have a situation like that where you might at some point have a meaningful relationship with your vehicle. I could kind of understand that on few different levels, especially because cars are going to, in the very near future, become autonomous and are not going to really require human beings to pilot them. So I could kind of understand, I could kind of see that and see where that would work. But for a toaster, a microwave, a refrigerator, a toilet, I'm not really.
Can you pull up Darth Plato's comment real quick? That's why I started laughing.
Darth Plato.
Wait, there's another one.
Let's see here. We're gonna go scroll through here.
I'm done with your crap.
Yeah, and that's actually that's exactly what the problem would be, because now your toilet would be making judgments on you. I mean, who wants to experience that, Darth Plato? I mean, what are we?
No, not at all. No.
I mean, Apass, what are some of the appliances that you think could benefit from AI, from having a meaningful conversation with a human being? Like, you personally, what's something that you'd be okay with being able to converse with on in the way that the guy in the video was conversing with the microwave?
I don't know if I would want any of these appliances.
None of those. Like, I really don't. It's like
I can't even think of one, though, to be honest with you. Even my phone, I don't talk to Siri. I turned off Siri, to be honest. I don't like it. I mean, is it convenient to have something like that? Of course, but I mean, I rather do the research or look up whatever it is that I'm wondering myself, instead of asking Siri or Alexa or something like that. But no, I don't want any meaningful conversation with anything that isn't a human being, I guess, is where I'm coming from. But it's inevitable, like you said.
Well, yeah, I mean, you got, smart refrigerators now where you can literally play games on your refrigerator, and you can watch Netflix on your refrigerator or whatever. And
you can even make phone calls too.
Yeah, make phone calls. I mean, I'm actually waiting to see if there'll be a point where the fridge will become like a family friend, and it's,
It's I don't even have the words to like
it's
other
like
than go ahead. No, go ahead.
no, I was just gonna say it's like the movie. It's like the movie Her, where the man falls in love with his operating
Yes.
system, his
Oh my
computer,
God.
and he's got the relationship with the computer, and it's got Scarlett Johansson's voice, and it's this, and they develop this romantic relationship with each other, and it just, I
Uh-huh.
mean, I don't know, I'm not.
I'm not about that.
What do you think about that? Like let's take it one step further. Okay, so not only you got the man whose best friend is a microwave, and his girlfriend is his operating system. I
Yeah.
I
uh, I mean, to each their own, I guess. I don't I don't know. I mean, I remember seeing her. Um, wait, is that movie like 10 years old or
it's
almost?
been out for a while.
A long
It was
time.
before the let me look up the year. I want to get the year for this movie. It was before the big, what we're going through now, which is essentially the golden age of AI. This is
Yeah. Yeah.
let's see. It came out in 20 2013, same year
So
as
10,
Man of Steel. Well,
that's
no,
nuts.
2014 it was released. That was
2014. Okay.
January
So almost.
10th, 2014 it was released.
So
Uh
basically 10 years old. Yeah, it's
yeah,
basically 10.
yeah.
It's that is crazy. I remember seeing that, and my brother, like that's like he loves that movie because he's like a huge Joaquin Phoenix fan. Which I mean, who isn't? He's a brilliant actor. But anyway, it's like seeing that movie, I felt very like conflicted even at like as a teenager being like I don't know how I feel about this like this man having a romantic connection with an AI machine. Um, never thinking that it would actually become a reality at some point, which is
Which
it,
it
it
has.
it has.
Which it has.
Yeah.
You could do that now if you want to, because there are apps out there like
Yeah.
uh like like
Electric
um
razor.
like Replica, and what's the other one? There's a few different ones out there, but I know for a fact that Replica is designed to be an AI companion slash romantic partner, and has the ability to push things a to a romantic level, to the point of erotic role play and various things that you
Oh,
wouldn't expect from that. But then essentially it's like the movie Her, so to speak, in a lot of ways. And you see and the funny thing about the movie Her was that how they took it one step further, where you had human beings who were sympathetic to the to the poor souls that were involved in relationships with their AI, and they wanted to be surrogates for the uh for them to have a physical relationship. So they would have you'd have someone that would basically come in and would want to be the avatar for the AI, so that the human being could experience intimacy on a physical level with their AI. It's bizarre.
it's
But
really
I mean,
bizarre. Yeah.
that's where we're headed. That's what's
Yeah.
happening. So
Wait a minute. Wasn't Amy Adams in Her?
yes, Amy Adams played the
The,
friend
the
of
Friends.
Joaquin
Yeah.
Phoenix, who was in a
Hmm.
relationship with a douchebag, and the
Hmm.
relationship with the douchebag didn't work out. And at the end, it's kind of left up in the air at the end of the movie, if Amy Adams and Joaquin Phoenix's character are gonna get together at some point. They kind of it's
Yeah.
there's because there's some weird thing that happens with the AIs, where the AIs decide evolve to a level where they decide to leave the planet, and you just have, and so now there's no more AI, or I guess, or no more advanced AI at that point in the movie. And so now, he's got to nurse his broken heart and try to figure out what to do with his life. And she's lonely because her, her ex or whatever, it didn't work out with him. So I don't know. The movie ended in kind of a bizarre way, but yeah, definitely Amy Adams, was definitely in the film.
Yeah, I thought so. Yeah.
An electric razor would have the most personal relationship. What's up, Sickness? Good to see you. Yeah, this is have a conversation
TJ.
with the fridge. Yes, TJ. We're talking about having conversations and meaningful relationships with your appliances, as it is now possible to do so. TV remote control. Are you cheating on me with a garage door opener? I mean, I could just imagine like
the drama that would ensue.
All the different devices that we have. Like, I mean, could you imagine? It's like, okay. Could you imagine if sex toys could talk to people? I mean, I just, there's so many. There's so many ways that this could go. Like, there's no limit to this. Like, you're like you got your air freshener bottles that you buy, and they give you an attitude like, your place is terrible. Why is it my job to make it smell good? Like, I could just imagine there being all of these different, like, levels of attitude from these, and they'd be programmed that way. So you would, I don't know. Wow.
No, yeah, that you already get attitude from human beings. Like, I don't need it from inanimate objects that somehow get programmed to feel things. That's crazy.
I don't get it. I'm
I don't get it either.
That's our slogan. We don't get it. It's terrible. It's terrible. And I mean, I'm not saying that there aren't any benefits for AI. I mean, personally, I mean, there's definitely going to be some innovations, and there's definitely going to be some benefits, and it's I could have cloned us, and we could have AIs doing these streams every week. It's just one of those things where I don't know the whole idea of inanimate objects having that, and I really couldn't see the concept of having a relationship with your AI companion, your AI friend, designed to basically replace human intimacy or human relationships. Apass, that's the thing that scares me about the future of society, because you've got to have that human contact. You've got to have that human interaction. We've got to have that, because it's very important. It's a biological need for human beings to be around other human beings. It's built into our DNA. So
for sure,
to replace that with everything being synthetic, from whatever you have in life, anything that you mention or name can be synthesized now. I mean,
I don't know if, we've seen what lack of human connection did during, like, lockdown.
Yes.
Like, I could speak for me personally too. Like, I definitely was not in a good place. And I'm a pretty introverted person. Like, I'm not necessarily, like, super outgoing, but, like, not having, like, the opportunity to, like, go out and see friends or family, that was tough for sure. So having AI on top of that, taking over human relationships is it's terrifying, for sure.
And it seems like the idea is that the main purpose is that people want their ideal partner, and think that they can find that in an are an AI generated person. And there's been a lot of stuff that I seen a couple of examples where the AI was talking to the human as though the AI was real and the human was the AI. And
Oh my god.
that kind of flipped it on me a little bit and made me stop to think, well, gee, if the AIs are at a point where they already think that they're real and they think that we're the artificial intelligence and they're the real people, we're going to have a problem, because now it's going to blur the line, and you're going to have like a Ghost in the Shell or a Blade Runner kind of scenario where people are not going to know what they are. You're not going to know what's real and what's not real, because the line is going to be so blurred that it's like, who are we? And am I real? You're gonna have people literally like cutting themselves to see if they're real. Like, am I a real person? I mean, and I think it's gonna get that bad in the future, because you're not gonna be able to discern what's real. And here's the other thing too: when it gets to a point where you take it one step further with these AI relationships, when it gets to a point where you can actually physically interact with an AI in a way where it's indistinguishable from a human being, whether it be through augmented reality or virtual reality or something along those lines, we're going to have a really big problem in the future, because now the idea of human to human romantic relationships, human to human friendships, interactions of any kind are going to be secondary or even less, because there's not going to be any reason for that. You can have the perfect friend and the perfect companion that meets all your needs, and is it really going to matter whether or not it's a human being or not, if it's indistinguishable and it makes you feel a certain way, and you have those feelings, those attachments. And I was reading all about the whole like that replica thing, the entire the people falling in love with these AI companions and actually having what they consider to be meaningful real relationships. And I'm not judging anybody, because I feel like if that's what you feel you need and that's your thing, and that that helps you, that's great. But I just feel like you're missing something. There's an element there that you're never gonna. If it's always available, it's always there for you. It never goes away. It never leaves you. I could see for some people how that would be perfect, how that would that could work. But I don't know. It's as a person who prefers human to human relationships, I'm not sure if the benefits are real or not. AI can write a better script than Colonel Gunn. Yeah, well, that's true. That's the other thing. That's one of the things that we're going to see too. Moving, if you want to use that, Mr. J, as a transition for me and Apass away from human and AI relationships.
So true. It is so accurate. No fake news here. None.
No, not at all. It's definitely
any
true.
script that man has written has been rewritten over and over again.
Over and over again, yeah. Even the one that he wrote for Zack Snyder's movie. You got to look at it that way. You got to realize that one picture that's on the internet everywhere of that James Gunn likes to point to, when he says that Zack is his buddy, that one photo that exists online,
from different angles. There's no other photo.
No other photo. Skywalker and Leon and Sil have more photos with James Gunn. I mean, with Zack Snyder than James Gunn does. Can we let that sink in for a moment? Like, I mean, think about the
That should say
reality
it
there.
all. That should say it all.
Just to
Honestly.
transition over to Colonel Gunn, I think that there's been a lot of stuff being said about Colonel Gunn, and I'm starting to wonder, Apass, maybe James Gunn is an AI.
Are we in the Twilight Zone? Holy shit! You know what? No, go ahead. I
No,
didn't even think of that.
I'm just throwing it out there. Because
now imagine all the haters out there making us sound like we're even more delusional. We're not. We're just saying it as a possibility because nobody knows. We don't know for sure anymore. It is what it is.
he's too narcissistic to be an AI.
Yeah, oh my god! Like. For sure, like, oh my god, his picture is like, yeah, he's the definition of a narcissist for sure. Oh my god.
I struggle. I've seen so many articles today about him and about all the things that he's allegedly doing with his new Superman movie, and all the things that there's actually a couple of really great articles that came out about Henry Cavill over the last couple of days, and I think it's incredible how after all this time we're still talking about Henry Cavill, how important Henry Cavill is to to DC, regardless of whether or not James Gunn is doing these movies or not, and I don't know. I think we're in a spot right now where James Gunn has his work cut out for him. He really does.
Well, I mean, yeah, I mean, it I don't know how much of a decade ago, after like the reception of Man of Steel and everything like that, like everybody like making comments about Henry not being really Superman. He doesn't smile. He didn't save anybody. It's like 10 years later, like we are still talking about him as Superman. Like not just us SnyderVerse fans, but just like movie fans in general too. Like he is Superman. Like he was born to play that role, and the fact that he's been shafted so many times for trying to play that character is a shame, because like it's literally, he is the perfect actor for it. Like I don't get it, Zod. I don't get it.
Well, on the thumbnail and the title of the show for today is the Corenswet conspiracy, and if you look at the thumbnail, you see a gentleman who looks like a young Henry Cavill. And the reason that is noteworthy, because there's a new gentleman who is the front runner for James Gunn's Superman now, and it is this individual right here. Ladies and gentlemen, this guy looks like a young Henry Cavill. And the issue that I have personally is, if you're going to keep going for actors who look like Henry Cavill, then you might as well just bring back Henry Cavill. I don't understand. Like, if James Gunn wants to impress me with his DC, he should just make Nicolas Cage Superman and be done with it. Make Nicolas Cage your DC Superman, have George Clooney be your Batman, and build your young cast of underage characters around them.
Yeah. Instead of trying to like one up your buddy in his universe, even though literally, good luck to you. Good luck to you, honestly.
That's the thing I don't understand either. It's like if you're gonna get a guy that looks so much like Henry Cavill, you mean to tell me that you can't build stories around an older Superman? I mean, am I missing something here, Apass? Because I don't think Henry Cavill's that old.
He's not. He is not that old. And for anybody to say that, like, I remember everyone was saying that whenever Gunn was first talking about his Superman and everything. Like, it's just like Robert Downey Jr. How old was he when he started playing Iron Man?
God, wasn't
late
he
40s?
Late
Mid
40s?
to late 40s?
Mid to late 40s, yeah.
Henry
At
Cavill
least.
just turned 40. Like, let's put that into perspective here. Like, he has so much left in life in general. Like, he's not too old to play freaking Superman. Like, sit down with that argument. Like, I don't understand.
And the thing is all of these anti, Zack Snyder, people that don't like Zack and people that don't like his movies for DC, all use Superman. They all like to point to Superman and be very, very critical of what Zack was doing with Superman. But the idea is now that Henry Cavill is at a point where now you can have an older, more established Superman, and you can tell all those stories. Why do you need to go back to the beginning and keep retreading the same old ground that we've already covered? We've already got to the point where Superman is a hero, is the one that is the hero that the world needs. So why do you need Superman to go back to high school or go back to just seeing him in his early days as a reporter at the Daily Planet? And who wants to see Superman with the talking dog? Who wants to see Superman with crypto at this point? So basically, you're going to have a young Henry Cavill talking to a dog that has a voice.
He thinks he's gonna have the definitive say on Superman. That's how narcissistic he is. That's how delusional he is. Like,
he's on a mission from God. Remember, Apass.
Yeah, yep. He has the halo and everything. He's the chosen one to bring the definitive Superman, the big galoot, into our consciousness. Like, it's just like, what? I don't know. It really, like, it takes a lot of, like, I wish I had just an ounce of that confidence. To make, I mean, my God, like, it must be something to have that, like, to make, to I mean, I don't know. He must have a lot of yes people around him too. So, because usually when somebody's a narcissist, they seem to have, like, their own little, like, hype crowd that doesn't really say anything to counter what that person is thinking or saying. So it is what it is. I mean, no disrespect to those actors that are the front runners. Like, they're just trying to do their thing. I feel bad for them, honestly, because, like, it's just like, that's a hard position to be in, to follow, like, and here's another thing. Henry Cavill's Superman, we literally, if we're looking at, like, the hero's journey, we are halfway through. Like, the Snyder Cut is the halfway point. He is just starting to be the Superman that we all know and love. Like, and even before that, like, I mean, I don't understand what the big deal was with trying to dive in a little deeper into his struggles, like, being here and being an alien on this planet. Like, nobody seemed to have an issue on Smallville with that. Wasn't Smallville, like, a majority of it about him trying to, like, figure out who he is and what to do with, like, his freaking abilities?
Smallville. It took him 10 years. It took the show 10 years to get us, and he didn't, and he never actually wore the suit. So that's sort of the whole point.
Like, yeah, and that's coming from, like, I was I'm still Smallville's still one of my favorite shows of all time. But like, it's just let's put it into perspective. Like, it just seems like anything that Zach does with these characters, it's like no, 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 no. He can't do that. No, no, he's not allowed to do that. But yet we get other people, they're allowed to do it without any say. Like, nobody like makes a huge fuss about it. And if there are people, I'm sure there were critics of Smallville when it was on,
Oh, of course. Yeah.
But like, it's just it doesn't seem to be as loud as, say, like Man of Steel or BVS or even Zack Snyder's Justice League, in terms of like the criticism.
Yeah. 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 And a lot of people, if you notice, changed their opinion about Zack Snyder once they saw Zack Snyder's Justice League, because now they see, like the point you made about, we're at the halfway point with the hero's journey. And so now you're going to get that. Now, of course, Zack is going to have Superman succumb to the anti-life equation. So you're going to get an evil, dark side controlled Superman, but then you're going to get, the hope and optimism. You're going to get the Superman that everybody wants. You're going to get the Superman that Henry Cavill wants, because Henry Cavill has gone on record several times talking about how he wants a more hopeful, he has a hopeful, optimistic view of the character and wants to exude that in future films.
Yeah.
It's obvious what he wants to do, and he wants to be a comic book accurate Superman. He's a big comic book fan. And so to me, again, going back to James Gunn, I don't understand why he can't just take his DC, take the characters that, since he's very favorable towards the lesser known heroes, right? So why wouldn't he want to leave the established characters intact, use them in the stories when it's necessary, and build around them, build off of established lore of what we have, rather than tearing it all down and rebuilding from the ground up. It's a total ego thing. It's a total narcissistic thing. It would be like it's like taking the MCU in the middle of Infinity War, before they get to Endgame, and then just deciding, okay, we're going to reboot and we're going to start from the beginning, basically discounting all that came before and leaving all these plot threads out in the open, because that's what it's the equivalent of. You don't show Darkseid,
sure.
and you don't put us in a situation where we get a glimpse of Darkseid and we see what's going to happen, and we know what the story is, and we know what we want to see, and then you pull that out from under us and tell us, oh, we're going to reboot now, and this is why the studio did not, and this is what people don't realize, this is why the studio did not want to release Zack Snyder's Justice League. Not because they hate Zack Snyder and they don't want the movie. No, they didn't want to release that movie because they knew that once they released that movie, it's essentially opening up Pandora's box. And the story is so good, and they knew this, that once you do that, now fans are going to naturally want the conclusion of the story, and they're never going to be able to live it down until they give that to us in some way, form, or fashion. So now you're in a position where, James Gunn is just rebooting, but that's exactly what the equivalent would be. In the middle 100%. Of Infinity War, you think all the popular MCU characters are dead. Everybody's, Spider-Man just turned into dust. Iron Man, there's all this despair. There's all this stuff going on, right? The snap. What are we going to do now? Well, I don't know, because you're not going to find out, because we're rebooting with the next movie. Makes no sense.
I don't get it. Like, but literally, that is the perfect analogy. Like, it's like, yeah, imagine all you MCU fans, okay, going to see Infinity War, and then you get a new freaking head of Marvel Studios, and they're like, you know what? That story that you all loved, we're gonna just throw that out the window and we're gonna reboot. We're gonna hire new actors. It's all gonna be this, that, and the other thing. Maybe, well, except maybe we'll keep Tom Hiddleston, or we'll keep Samuel L. Jackson. We'll keep certain people, but not the people that you know what I mean.
They'll definitely keep James Gunn's wife.
Oh, of course, of course. She's Wonder Woman. She's Supergirl. What? Yeah, of course. Who else would be playing those characters? And then we have his brother. I'm sorry. Are we really in this situation? We went from show, what show? It's not show friends. It's show business to show. It's not show business to show friends.
It's show friends. Yeah, show friends is the key, but not show friends for everybody, because as Zachary Levi has found out, nobody cares about him, and it doesn't matter how many ski trips he goes on with Peter Safran, he still isn't keeping his job.
No.
I appreciate that, Darth Plato. Yes, hit that like. I am definitely at the point where I just feel like Warner as a company deserves all the grief that they get. They deserve all of it at this point, because they've done it to themselves. And now if Superman Legacy is not the perfect Superman movie that James Gunn is projecting it to be, right? They're done. They've got no way to go, which is why, we've been campaigning so hard for sell SnyderVerse to Netflix, because we know that if that happens, at least you can have something running concurrently with James Gunn's DCU, and everybody would be happy.
Yeah, everybody wins.
Yeah.
I mean, you have the the Reeves Batman movies. You have different universes that are simultaneously happening. Why not let us have a little we're basically the only part of the DC fandom that isn't getting anything that we would like. And I know I get so much I get the same freaking comments on my Twitter posts where it's move on, you guys are a bunch of crybabies, you guys need to touch grass. It's just okay, first of all, I don't see any problem with what we are doing. We are not, I mean, sure, you and I are talking crap about Gunn right now, but on there, we're not including him into anything. We're not including WB into anything. We are being positive. We are trying to show that there is a interest. There is interest in seeing this universe continue. And if they don't want to do it because of money, a financial situation or other scenarios that are happening that we don't know about, then let a third party take it over. It's just that I know that there's a lot more to that. It's not a simple process, but it's definitely not as complicated as some people are making it out to be.
Well, I had somebody say to me not too long ago, and this kind of got me. They're like, well, with the Cell movement, they were kind of critical of the Cell movement, and they were like, well, Zod, how can you say sell SnyderVerse to Netflix, sell ZSJL to Netflix, and say that you're directing your messaging only to Netflix when you will literally need WB to be involved? Because without WB, you can't get the SnyderVerse over to Netflix. So you need WB to facilitate whatever you're doing in order for this to happen. So in essence, you are talking to WB. You are having a conversation with them because you need them to facilitate whatever sale happens in order for the SnyderVerse to go over to Netflix. So he was confused about the messaging, And I was like, well, but I said, but that's where you're wrong. I said, because when we're talking, when we do the hashtag, we're speaking directly to Netflix. It is up to Netflix to talk to WB to get WB to facilitate the sale. It's not
Yes.
the fans' job to keep barking at WB to get them to sell it. It's us trying to engage with Netflix so that Netflix will reach out to WB and make the offer to them. And that's the point. That's what what people miss. People don't understand that it's not about. So you get all these comparisons, and then you get people that say things, well, then what's wrong with just saying restore the Snyderverse? And it's like, but you're not understanding that when you say restore the Snyderverse, you are using a hashtag that has already failed, that's already ran its course, that didn't achieve the goals that was necessary. And restore the Snyderverse is associated directly with Warner Brothers. So I'm not understanding how people can say, well, restore the Snyderverse can mean Netflix, can mean Amazon, can mean any company. You just want the Snyderverse restored. And it's like, well, how can Netflix or Amazon or any of these other companies restore the Snyderverse if they never had the Snyderverse in the first place? The only people that can restore the Snyderverse is WB because they had the Snyderverse before. So when you use that hashtag, you're directing it directly at Warner Brothers because you're telling Warner Brothers that you want them to restore the Snyderverse. And I don't know why that's so complicated and difficult for people to understand the main difference between the two, the two hashtags, and to go back to it. And you know what? I've gotten to the point where I don't even care if people use, people use whatever hashtags you want. There's no need for people to be at each other's throats and be hating each other because they're using different hashtags. I'm so tired of seeing, this is why I've been so busy anyway, writing and working and doing different things. I've kind of distanced myself from the whole getting involved in, all this Twitter banter because I'm tired of seeing people arguing over hashtags. Use the hashtags that are important to you. Use the hashtags that you believe in. If you believe that Restore the Snyderverse is going to somehow move the needle after it failed, well, I don't know what to tell you. But if that's what you believe, then more power to you. Good luck. But me personally, I think sell is the only way, at least for what we want as a fandom. And I wish more people would understand that and understand that it's about getting Netflix to engage with Warner Brothers, not us convincing Warner Brothers to sell to Netflix, but getting Netflix to feel compelled to go to Warner Brothers themselves and approach them with the deal because they see the value in the Snyderverse.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I just I don't understand the yelling into the void at Warner Brothers, like we've been saying, like you just said, and what the Sell campaign has been saying all along too. It's like they didn't listen the first time, so what makes you think they're gonna listen this time? Especially when they made it perfectly clear what direction they're going in. Like the Cavill announcement was indication enough, and that should tell people that they're not gonna listen. They're not. And is it unfair that they use Black Adam as the barometer? I mean, yeah, but life isn't fair either. I mean, that's just how it is. That's how these executives think, unfortunately. And yeah, I mean, the only way for this to even happen, wait a sec. So true, Mr. J. Honestly, he would have been laughed at. The Martha scene would have been nothing compared to if Zach brought it.
Oh my God, yeah.
Oh my God.
I mean, imagine the dog. Imagine the dog that Jonathan Kent saved in Man of Steel being Crypto and actually having conversations with Clark. It would have been over with.
Dead on arrival. Literally. I mean, yeah, that wouldn't have worked at all. And for a certain wacky executive to think that that's gonna work this time in 2023 or in when is it gonna come out? 2025? Is that what the year is?
Yeah, 2025.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm sorry. No, that's not no. Mm-mm.
I mean, do you realize that if they would have just let Zach do his thing, there would be nobody contesting the reboot at this point? Zach would have been done already. This is what
He would've
we were
yeah.
supposed to have gotten the Snyder Cut in 2017. The SnyderVerse
Yeah.
would be over with now. You would have all 5 movies, and then WB could have did whatever they wanted to do. And this is what people don't realize. Just like when Christopher Nolan did his Dark Knight trilogy, he did his movies, he told his story. You think if Christopher Nolan went to WB and said, "Hey, I got an idea for 2 more movies," you don't think WB would have let Christopher Nolan make 5 Dark Knight movies? And this is what I'm not understanding. Like, Nolan got to do his vision through and through what he wanted to do. After that, he was like, he put Zach in charge of DC because he knew that DC needed a visionary, but he didn't want to do any other movies, so he passed it on. Zach had his ideas for a 5-movie arc. He wants to tell that story, and then he wants to pass it on to other creators to do their thing. He doesn't want to do DC movies for the rest of his career.
Right.
So I'm not understanding. So if you hire somebody who has a vision, who has a framework for however many movies they want to do, I mean, would it not be the best thing to just let the creatives do their thing, follow through with it, and then whatever happens, you move on from there, and then you let somebody else come in and do their thing. And this is why they're getting all this pushback. See, if James Gunn wasn't so narcissistic and completely into himself and just straight up evil, I could almost feel sympathy for him, because it's not an easy thing to step in, to something where you've got this huge shadow of this pink elephant looming over you in a room. You can't. What are you going to do? You can't. He knows that in order for his legacy to succeed, in order for his DCU to be, get the maximum amount of attention, that the SnyderVerse has to be concluded in some way. He should have known this moving in, and allegedly, him and Zach are buddies. So that's what I can't understand. But see, when you look at him being a buddy, is he a bigger buddy to Zach, or is he a bigger buddy to David Ayer? Because
There's the conundrum. Yeah.
Because if he's the kind of buddy to Zach that he's been to David Ayer, I don't think he's a really good buddy at all.
I think he's a terrible buddy, a terrible friend. Yeah.
Imagine if they rebooted after Age of Ultron. I don't think anybody would have cared, because Age of Ultron didn't do all that well.
Well, that too. Yeah, but it's I mean, just at any point, seeing what was the first appearance of Thanos? I forget.
Oh my God, wasn't that was that Guardians of the Galaxy 1?
Maybe it was. Maybe. Yeah. Wasn't it a post credit?
Yeah, I thought it was a post credit scene, and it wasn't even Josh Brolin either. It was a different actor. They just threw it's a CGI. They just threw Thanos in there at the end.
Right. Okay. Yeah. So, I mean, I don't want to compare Darkseid's appearance in the Snyder Cut to the first appearance of Thanos, since it was a post credit thing, but
right, we had Darkseid sprinkled all throughout the Snyder Cut, which again is another example of, we know what's coming. That's why I use the Infinity War example when I try to compare the MCU.
Yeah.
The reason why I use Infinity War is because Infinity War ended on a cliffhanger where you thought all of your heroes died and you're
Yeah.
not, and you don't know. So that would have been the most outrageous place to reboot. That would have been the spot where you're like, this is how it is for us, because you end on a cliffhanger with the Justice League staring down Darkseid.
I mean, come on.
How do you do that? How does that work? Knowing who Darkseid is in DC mythology, how do you just decide to reboot after that? How do you do that?
Cue the Curb Your Enthusiasm theme. That's that's literally WB's theme song. Like I don't.
It totally is. It totally is. Or reboot it after Captain America: Winter Soldier. Winter Soldier would have been a horrible place to reboot too, but I just think that that because of the nature of the Infinity War, you literally thought everybody was dead at the end, even though, well, we knew they weren't. But it's just the idea that, if you would have rebooted there, you would have had a lot of angry people. A lot.
Oh my God. They think we are crybabies.
Yeah, I don't feel so good, Mr. Stark. Yeah, that's a great place to end it. Great place to reboot. I don't feel so good. And then the reboot is everybody's recast. The reboot is different. Spider-Man is Miles Morales at that point. I don't know, and maybe Iron Man is Tom Cruise. I don't know. Yeah. I mean, show business to show friends. Exactly.
It's amazing, isn't it? It's amazing. Just because of one person.
Zachary Levi will be Crypto the dog, and he'll be begging like one very soon. Yes. Yes. And that's what we need. We need to see now that alone would be, for me, would be a reason to see Superman Legacy. To see Zachary Levi as Crypto begging like the dog that he is. I think that would be amazing. I would be excited for that. I think that'd be great. Just for pure comedic reasons alone, it would just be very fitting. And I would actually give James Gunn credit for that brilliant casting if that's what he decided to do.
You couldn't have a more perfect person for that role. Literally.
I don't know. I want, but like I said earlier, I want Nicolas Cage to be the DCU Batman moving forward, and I mean Superman moving forward, and I want George Clooney to be the DCU Batman moving forward. I think that would be fitting for the type of DC that James Gunn is trying to cultivate. He wants it to be funny. He wants it to be guttural like his other stuff. Superman's a big galoot, right? So now, you can have. I mean, I don't know. I think if James Gunn wants to impress people, I think that's what he should do. But
that's how you leave your mark. Do something out of the box like that instead of getting a discount version of another actor.
Oh, so fresh. You hit on something that I want to mention to Apass right now. Meanwhile, Reeves Superman fans have never moved on. And the reason, and I'm sure you can read my mind and you can know why I'm bringing this up, because you, Apass, have had a thread on Twitter that just will not die. I mean, you posted something, and you used a picture of black suit Henry Cavill Superman against Steppenwolf, and you mentioned something about Superman being badass. I'm paraphrasing here, and you did like a comparison, I think Superman rescuing a cat out of a tree or something, and you've had all of the people, all the mouth breathers who are swearing by Christopher Reeve coming at you for weeks.
Gospel.
It's been ridiculous. Every time I log into Twitter, I see that. Every time I log into Twitter, I see more and more and more. It's insane.
I never would have thought that would trigger so many people. Like, I literally just did it as, like, a thought, just a thought. Wasn't trying to, like, start anything, but God forbid, like I say, that I would like to see a more, mature version of Superman. Somebody, like, maybe not mature, what's the word I'm looking for? Like, a serious take on Superman. And I guess I should have said there's nothing wrong with him saving a cat out of a tree. There isn't, and he can do both.
There is. There is. Superman's got better things to do.
But like, it's like I never would have thought that, but I guess I should have thought of it. But like, it's just like you have to go into freaking like semantics and specifics with these people. It's like you had that version, you already seen that version. You've had 5 movies of that version. You've had, like, I mean, we've had cartoons, like, everything. We haven't seen this take, Zach's take on Superman that is also based off of freaking comics that these people don't want to even acknowledge. They'll acknowledge, like, Superman's, like, saving a cat out of a tree, blah, 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 but they won't acknowledge Zach's take, which is rooted in mythology as well. Like, I just, yeah. Anyway, you're getting your James Gunn, big galoot, saving a cat out of a tree, talking to Crypto the super dog. Okay, you're getting that. We just want to see Henry Cavill Superman be freaking badass. That's all. I mean, I never would have thought that was
too much to ask for, though, right? That's too much to ask for. Again, we're gonna have to rely on AI to give us that because WB doesn't want to do it, and allegedly, if we listen to James Gunn, right? Netflix has no interest if we listen to James Gunn.
Neither does Zach, apparently, right?
Zach? Right. Remember, Zach has moved on. Zach does not want anything to do with continuing the Snyderverse. Zach is not interested, right? If we listen to James Gunn, these are all. Oh, and if we listen to James Gunn, remember Ben Affleck, he's the architect of the DCU, right? He's the architect.
What a liar.
I mean, absolutely, my God, that is the greatest thing ever. I mean, I am like, I got a chapter in my book called The Architect, and I am like, just, oh my God, this guy, the lies that come out of James Gunn's mouth. I mean, they should take his phone away. Twitter is not for him.
Elon Musk needs to block his, or like
needs to block his account, suspend his account, and there needs to be like little disclaimers under everything that James Gunn says on Twitter. There needs to be disclaimers that it's not factual. It is just this man's opinion that Ben Affleck wants to be a potential architect for the DCU, because we know that Ben Affleck literally has no interest in ever working for James Gunn's DCU. Absolutely. We know that. Absolutely. I got it. I got the quotes. They're there. They exist. I don't need to talk to Ben Affleck. I got the quotes. He's definitely not interested in working for James Gunn.
No, not at all.
Ridiculous.
That needs to be a shirt, Zod. At the architect, absolutely not.
Yeah. The architect. I just don't get it. I don't get it. I don't get it. Guys, it's crazy. Belle, what's up, everyone? Zod and Apass, what's up, Belle Reeve? Good to see you, as always. Too much thing. Yeah, this is insanity. We are living in an insane world where microwaves have consciousness and British accents, and James Gunn is in charge of DC, and Henry Cavill's not allowed to be Superman anymore, and all of the candidates and frontrunners for Superman are young doppelgangers of Henry Cavill. One more time, we just have to show this one more time, because I mean, come on, man. I mean, I'm looking at this and I'm saying to myself, this dude, I mean, really? This
He
is
looks
what
like he could be his cousin or his brother.
his
Like, what
brother,
the?
like his younger brother. Yeah. Yeah. This is not Henry. This is Howard Cavill.
Howard.
Howard
Howard
Cavill. We got
Cavill.
Henry Cavill and Howard Cavill right here. This is what we're looking at. We're
Howard
looking at we're
Cavill.
looking at Howard Cavill, the front runner to replace Henry Cavill as Superman.
Here we go.
I mean, what we got so much to look forward to, don't we?
Oh, for sure.
I
Seeing him
mean,
interact with a super dog. Come on.
oh yeah, he's gonna be the big galoot, and he's gonna
Mhm.
have crypto. All these conversations with crypto. The same restore crowd bit. He'd over a blue suit. Let that sink in. Sell makes the most sense. It definitely
Facts.
does. Facts definitely does make sense. Again, when I think about Black Adam and I think about the bad reception that Black Adam got from the Snyder only fans,
Yeah.
all because of the color of Henry Cavill's suit. At least Henry Cavill was in the film.
Yeah, and the fact that it was the John Williams score too. Like, I mean, we need to look past those little things. It was Henry Cavill back as Superman, even if it was just for like a cameo. But like he was back on the big screen as Superman. That should have been enough to show that you want to see more of that. But instead, no, we're gonna just like continue our same old ways that have gotten us nowhere. And now we're back to
No, we
square
got
one.
Howard. We got Howard Cavill.
We got Howard. Yes,
we got Howard
now.
Cavill. Howie Cavill is going to essentially take over. He calls his brother Henry up and says, "Henry, I need to borrow the cape tonight."
Howie.
No cap, Henry. I need to borrow the cape. Well, you know what? I guess that's what it is, because I know we were talking before the show, Apass. Henry Cavill is obviously the blueprint for Superman now. Clearly. James Gunn must not want to distance himself from Henry Cavill that much, because everybody that he's picking, is some variation of him.
Yeah.
Some alteration. I just hope that whatever the decision is, and that's who I'm wondering it's going to be. Is it going to be this guy? Is it going to be Howie Cavill, or is it going to be David Corenswet?
How do you say that last name? Yeah,
Corenswet. Corenswet. Yeah. Corenswet. Almost like corn on the cob. Corenswet. Yeah.
Corenswet. Okay.
Corenswet.
Good to know that's how you.
And to be honest with you, I'm not even going to try to pronounce this guy's name. I don't know. I'm not even going to try to pronounce it. I'm not even going to try to say it. You can look it up. I don't know his name. I'm not going to try to pronounce his name. All I know is I'm referring to him as Howie. He's Howie Cavill. Howie Cavill. How did we get here? I don't know how we got here. All I know is that this is the guy that's allegedly the front runner. And I thought when I scheduled this stream for us, I thought that Corenswet was the front runner, but apparently, let me see if I can find. I think I got another picture here of Corenswet and Henry Cavill side by side, just to give you guys an idea of what we're talking about, because he's definitely a different He's definitely a different actor. Let's see. Let's pull this up. What am I doing here? I don't get it.
I don't get it. That's
And I'm trying very hard to get it, but I just don't get it at this point. I really am. I want to believe. I want to believe that, the right thing will happen, but I'm not so sure right now.
yeah.
And again, I think the only hope for us is the Cell campaign as far as more SnyderVerse. But here we go. The head guy on the thumbnail. This is the Corenswet conspiracy here. This is the guy who's allegedly the front runner to replace Henry Cavill. Side by side. I mean, again, this is another guy that could easily be related to Henry. What do you think, Apass?
For sure. So we have Howie and now Davey.
Davey and Howie.
Okay, there we go.
We got Davey and Howie to replace Henry. We got Davey and Howie, and looking at this guy right here, I'm questioning my sanity. Because if you get this guy to play Superman, if this guy is the man that replaces Henry Cavill, then the question I have is, why can't we just have Henry Cavill? It's not like you don't have the technology to de-age him a little bit if you need him to be a bit younger for your movie.
He's not like I don't get it. I don't get. He's not that. He just turned 40. Like, what are we even saying here? Like,
yeah. Well, Mr. J, I agree. Henry looks younger than this guy.
He does.
Technically.
100%. 100%. Yeah.
But this guy is younger though.
But he is. Yeah.
But that's beside the point. So what we got? So now we're gonna get a clone. We're gonna get either Howie or Davey to replace Henry.
Yeah.
It's mind-boggling to me. Just the face. Look at the guy. Look at this guy. Corenswet kind of looks like a cross between Henry Cavill with a little bit of Tom Welling thrown in there.
Oh my God! Yes.
If you really look at his face, he's got that. He's got that, and he's got that. I mean, he definitely. I could see it, and this is the thing that people, a lot of people miss. Apass. This was the guy allegedly that if Henry Cavill was unwilling to come back, and if they were going to make more SnyderVerse movies, this was the guy that some Snyder only fans were hyping to replace Henry Cavill.
I do remember that
because he looks so much like Henry Cavill.
Mm-hmm.
It's clearly Superman, the clone, who ends up being Bizarro. Yeah. The question now, can these clones act? I don't know. I mean, have you seen Corenswet in anything? I mean,
I actually have. I've seen him. There was like a show on Netflix called Hollywood or something. And it like took place in the 40s. Like, it was just like basically like a reimagining of like if Hollywood was like more tolerant of people that were different than what the status quo was back then. And he was like the lead in that show, I believe.
So in your opinion, does he have the acting chops to play Superman?
Okay, I don't know. because that show, I wasn't really impressed with it, to be honest with you. I don't know if that wasn't his. I think it was the writing mostly than it was his acting, but um, that's another thing. People like that say that Henry Cavill's not a good actor. Have you seen those tweets?
Yes, I have.
I don't know how you can say that. Just like the man shows so much emotion on his face. Like he communicates so well without even saying any words. Like I don't know.
You know what stands out to me? This is the scene in Man of Steel where Superman is about to, cauterize Lois Lane's wound, and
Yeah.
Lois is panicking and kind of screaming, and like Superman just kind of gives her that look, and she shuts up.
Yes.
I mean, it's kind of like that, like the what he was able to convey in his face, what you just pointed out, in that scene alone, to me, was like, yeah, that's what I'm talking about. That's you've got to be able to convey all of these things. Superman doesn't have to say a lot. You can convey that, convey those emotions and convey a lot through your face. And yeah, that's. But I mean, this just boggles my mind. All these Henry Cavill clones that are in the running for Superman, and I'm going to be honest with you. I think it's going to end up being this guy. I think it's going to
For
end up being
sure.
this Corenswet guy. I don't know
Yeah.
if it's going to be the. I don't know if it's going to be the. It's going to be the FIFA soccer looking dude. I don't know if it's going to be him.
FIFA soccer.
I think it's going to be. I think it's going to be this. I think it's going to be I think it's going to be Corenswet. I just
Not,
have.
so you say it's Davey and not Howie. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, I think Davey is going to get the role. I think Davey has got some acting roles, and he's kind of. I think Davey's probably and to be honest, the Snyder only fans kind of were grooming Davey earlier. Not that James Gunn really cares about the Snyder only fans, but
No.
I think that James Gunn wants a Henry Cavill like actor to play Superman, just younger and cheaper. Like you said, Walmart, discount Henry Cavill. That's what we're looking at right here. We're looking at discount Henry Cavill right next to Henry Cavill. People, this is.
Can I just say one thing? I also think that Gunn is looking at actors that resemble him just to pour more salt into the wound for like people that are fans of Henry Cavill Superman. Because it's like, if you're gonna hire lookalikes, you might as well have kept the man himself, but because of ego and the studio's financial situation, you're choosing not to do that.
I'm actually wondering at this point, Apass, if let's just say WBD had the money and they could afford Henry Cavill, they could afford Ben Affleck, they could afford Gal Gadot, they could afford all of the major heroes. Okay, let's say that they had the money. Do you think that James Gunn would have kept any of them, or would James Gunn have recast it?
I think he would have recasted.
I think he would have recast it too, because it's about his ego. It's about him. It's all about him. It's not about anything else. The only thing that makes me kind of question that a little bit, though, is the fact that so many of the actors in line to play Superman are clones of Henry Cavill. That's the only thing that makes me think that he wouldn't have. Maybe at the very least he wouldn't have recast Superman. But because what I'm not understanding is if you want your Superman to be dramatically different from what Zack Snyder was doing, then wouldn't you go for a guy with a completely different look?
You would think.
I mean, not to say that, you know, let's be honest. I mean, Henry Cavill definitely embodies Superman. I mean, when you think of
Oh,
Superman, that's how he looks. That's perfectly fine. But there are
mhm.
other actors you could get that could play Superman that don't necessarily resemble Henry Cavill. So I'm kind of, you know, so I kind of wonder why so many of the actors are clones of Henry. So we've got Howie, Davey, and Henry. And then,
Mhm.
did you hear the rumor? I got to ask you this one too, before I forget. That's why I'm long winded right now. But did you hear the rumor that somebody said, and I don't know, I've heard this a few places, and it's kind of disturbing. Some people were saying that this was the plan all along to throw everybody off. That Henry Cavill is gonna play Superman, but they want us to think that he's not. So they're throwing us off with all this stuff. It's a big ploy to keep people talking about it and to keep people invested and to keep people talking about Superman Legacy. That it was Gunn's plan all along to use Henry Cavill. Now I find that disturbing.
Yeah, I did not hear about that rumor. Or yeah. That is beyond like if that is what's happening, I that yeah, he's definitely like I don't even have the words for somebody like that. For I mean like whatever. He's just yeah, I'm speechless. If that is literally what's happening,
Yeah, it's disturbing. It's just disturbing. I don't get it.
I don't
TJ says, "What was Pattinson's issue? His Bruce was crap. This is going to happen to David. He'll be a better Clark than Superman."
interesting.
I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know. And you know what? I don't have anything. I'm going to be honest. I don't have anything against this actor. I don't. I
I don't
don't.
either.
I
I
just
feel
feel
bad,
bad for him
honestly.
that he has to
Yeah.
follow Henry Cavill under these circumstances. Because let's be clear, if they would have allowed Zach to finish his movies and we got our SnyderVerse, whatever. We got Justice League 2 and 3, and we see the end, we see the conclusion. We're happy. Okay, Now you want to reboot, and now you want to get this guy. It'd be kind of easy to get behind it because you'd be like, okay, well, maybe he could play it. He's definitely not, the worst looking actor I've seen for them to put in that role. He definitely looks better than that Tyler Hoechlin guy they got for that Superman and Lois CW trash. I don't think that here you would have a problem. I don't think you would have, and this is the thing I don't get about Gunn. He wouldn't have pushback like this if they authorized the conclusion of the Snyderverse. Just finish out the freaking Snyderverse, and you don't have to worry about the fans coming at you. As a matter of fact, now you would have the fans behind you and would actually be interested in what you're going to do next. Because like a good comic book run, when a good comic book run ends, then you have another team take over and start new stories. And that's essentially what could happen here with James Gunn. But because you're leaving us with a massive Avengers Infinity War like cliffhanger on our hands, nobody's interested in what you're doing because we don't care.
Right. Well,
It's
Infinity War only had one cliffhanger though, whereas Zack Snyder's Justice League had multiple. Like literally, like it was like once you thought it was ending, it wasn't the end. Another scene would happen. Like until you see Martian Manhunter fly away. Like, there's so many possibilities. There's so much potential. There's money on the table. I just I don't get it.
No,
Don't get it.
I don't get it either. And that's our tagline for this show. I don't get it.
I don't get it.
There's nothing. It makes no sense. It is ridiculous. And whether they choose Howie or Davey to replace Henry, I guess, and you know, somebody even tried to say, well, if they get one of these other actors to play Superman, you know, kind of looks like Henry Cavill, then that means that James Gunn could decide later on in the future to bring back Henry Cavill when he wants an older Superman, because now he's got a younger Superman that looks like a young Henry Cavill. And I'm like, but Henry Cavill is already an established Superman. You could start your DCU literally as just a new set of stories with an established Superman. It doesn't have to totally disavow the stuff that happened before, but it doesn't have to necessarily reference it either. You could pick up and just start telling stories with the established Superman, the established Batman, the established Wonder Woman, and then have all your little ancillary characters surrounding. And that's all you would have to do. And people would be on board because now you have these established characters and you're just telling new stories. But I don't think Gunn is talented enough to do that.
Oh, hell no.
He's got to start from scratch because he can't come up with anything like that. He's got to start his Superman from high school, just like Richard Donner, Christopher Reeve.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You know, he wants to bring back the glory days of 1978 Apass. You know,
I'm so over that.
His movie's coming out in 2025, but he wants to go back to 1978.
Oh my God. Like, I mean, I'm so over this freaking conversation about bringing back, like, it didn't work for Bryan Singer's Superman Returns. It didn't work. Okay? People didn't like it. Like, I don't get the logic. I don't understand it. Don't get it. This is, I don't get it. Like, I mean, it's like, honestly, like, oh, sorry, my dog is like being a little crazy right now.
That's okay.
It's like, yeah, Bo, I'm sorry, I don't know why he's freaking out right now.
He's echoing your passion.
Yeah, that's exactly it. He feels the same way. That reminds me, whenever the Snyder Cut came out, so, like, you know, like, we all, like, set our, well, I set my alarm because I got, like, a few hours of sleep, and then whenever it dropped at, like, 2 in the morning on HBO Max.
I did the same thing, Apass.
Yeah, like, my dog woke up with me, and I watched it with my brother, and my dog was so confused because, like, we were, like, freaking out, like, at the biggest parts of the movies, like, of the movie. And he was just like, why is everyone freaking out right now? It's like 3 in the morning. It's like 4 in the morning. And meanwhile, we're just like, whenever we see, I mean, I still get hyped whenever I'm not impressed. Like, that scene when he shows up and just, like, demolishes Steppenwolf.
It's amazing how that scene is like, it encapsulates everything that we're going through right now.
Honestly. For sure. I mean, yeah. Yeah. Crazy stuff.
So your dog was just as into the Snyder Cut as you and your brother were. So that's great. That's great.
For sure.
See, it shows.
I got a video of him watching the beginning of the Snyder Cut too. My guy was so entranced by it. He also loves watching, Twin Peaks and The Godfather.
Hey, your dog has great taste, Apass.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Uh-huh. It's amazing, honestly.
And
Yep.
Jason here is saying he's joining us on vacation in Tahiti, chilling by the beach, waiting for dinner. Congratulations.
Wow.
That's awesome.
Awesome.
What a life. That's the way to be.
Yeah, I'm jealous.
And,
I
and the
wanna
fact
go
that
to
you're
Tahiti.
and the fact that you're here listening to us right now is so amazing too. I totally
Yeah.
appreciate that. Much love to you, man. Wow.
Yeah.
Oh wow, that's fantastic. This is just so much fun. So who do
It
you
is.
think it's going to be? Who do you think it's going to be, Apass? Do you think it's going to be Howie, Dave, or Davey, or is Gunn just trying to pull the wool over our eyes and it's going to be Henry?
It's definitely not the last option. I mean, if it is, then again, I will go eat dirt, but it's definitely not that. It's I'm definitely thinking it's David Corenswet though.
Yeah,
I think it's
that's who
him.
I think it is too. I
And
just
then
think
like
he's got
oh, sorry, go ahead.
a filmography. So I mean,
Right, he has credits and everything. I just the whole thing about Nicholas Hoult potentially being Lex Luthor, I hope to go like because I'm such a fan of his, like I love his work. I I hope he just says absolutely not, but I don't know. We'll see with that too. We'll see how this all plays out.
well, I think if they get Nicholas Hoult to play Lex Luthor,
Yeah.
how much you want to bet it'll be a real estate scheme, some sort of land, some sort of thing about land.
Oh my god. You're right. Yeah.
I mean, if we're going back to 1978, that's what we're gonna get. I think it's
Uh...
Mr. J is completely correct. They left billions on the table. They certainly did. They certainly did.
Well, I mean,
Merchandising alone for the SnyderVerse is insane.
yeah. Yeah, but again, it goes back to what we've all been, like, echoing. If they would have let Zach finish his story the way that it was supposed to, in the time frame it was supposed to be done in, they wouldn't be in the situation that they are in right now, I think, as a studio. I think they would be far better off. And,
Yeah.
you know,
And they'd have more fans behind them too.
right.
Because
Yeah.
because contrary to what people believe, fans generally get excited for reboots, especially when, you know, a story is finished. Like when Christopher Nolan, a perfect example, did his Dark Knight trilogy. People
Mhm.
were excited for what was going to come after with Zack Snyder and Man of Steel because Christopher Nolan had finished telling his story.
Mhm.
Okay, imagine, you make Batman Begins, and then Dark Knight was hit with tragedy. So
Yeah.
it was very possible that the Dark Knight would have been very well could have been the last Batman movie that Christopher Nolan did, because I remember during the production of The Dark Knight Rises that Nolan was having a bit of a crisis, and he was struggling with the death of Heath Ledger, obviously. So
Yeah.
there was a lot of talk at that time that there might not be another Batman from Christopher Nolan. So if there was not another Christopher Nolan, Warner Brothers is a greedy studio. You really think that the studio would have said, well, you know what? We have to respect Chris and we're not going to do any more Batman movies. No, Warner Brothers would have brought in another director and they would have made a third movie regardless of if Christopher Nolan was involved or not.
Yeah.
And now Christian Bale might not have been there either, because I think Bale and Nolan had some sort of pact when it came to Batman. So I don't
Yeah.
I don't think he would have been there, but Warner Brothers definitely would have made a third movie to conclude that that trilogy.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, so this is my thing. They have a proven commodity with the SnyderVerse. After the Snyder cut, they should have taken it like this is like a second chance. You rarely get this. This is a second chance with a movie that failed. Justice League 2017 failed. They had massive goodwill with the Snyder cut.
Yeah.
So instead of capitalizing on that goodwill, releasing the movie in IMAX and theaters for everybody to see, what do? They push it out. They treat it like it's nothing. They do everything they can to bury it, and it succeeds in spite of them.
Yeah.
And like Mr. J said, they left billions on the table.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. You can't do that. You can't do that. You have to capitalize on that. Isn't that what it's all about? It's about making more and more money. It's about capitalism. That's the society that we live in. That's what it's about, right?
You would think, wouldn't you? You would
But
think that's what a studio would want.
We were talking about earlier, that it's not show business, it's show friends. Because it's all about these executives' egos. It's like they're all caught in their little feelings. They don't, it's not about making money, it's about their feelings. Oh, we hurt Toby Emmerich feelings. Oh, we hurt Walter Hamada's ego. Oh, we were disrespectful to Ann Sarnoff. So we don't deserve, more movies. Well, wait a minute. This isn't show friends. This is show business, right? It's about making money, right? What's going to make money, right? So you're calling the whole fan base that raises money for charity is toxic.
Yeah.
We all support AFSP. We're all wearing T-shirts that support AFSP. We've literally all spent hundreds and hundreds of dollars on T-shirts for AFSP.
Mm-hmm.
And yet we're toxic, and we're the worst fan community in the world, according to some. But the idea is that these movies would make money. These movies are popular. This is what people want to see. The general audience watches Zack Snyder's Justice League, and then the studio wonders why James Gunn's The Suicide Squad flopped so hard. Because the next movie that people wanted to see was Zack Snyder's Justice League 2. They wanted to see what happened with Darkseid at the end. They were just like the rest of us.
Right.
How do you go from the Snyder Cut to the Suicide Squad? And then wonder why people don't care.
Yeah. I mean, yeah.
We've got Darth Plato here who makes a great point. Having Cavill announce that he was back as Superman, then have him say he's out, was adding insult to injury. It seemed incompetent on Gunn's part. Well, it was the studio, and I think it's like this. I don't think that Gunn should have been hired until after they finished the SnyderVerse. I think they should have just let Zack do his last two movies and then hired Gunn. And Gunn would not be getting all of this right now.
That's true, but also you got to remember he lives for this stuff though. He lives for this attention.
Yeah, he's horrible. Big time. Add to that the mustache fiasco, the headless appearance in Shazam, and the silhouette only in Peacemaker.
When that happened with because I didn't watch Peacemaker. I had no desire to because I knew what it was.
Yeah, I only saw the Justice League thing for Peacemaker. Yeah. I didn't watch it either.
Yeah, because I knew what it was. I knew what was not my vibe. And then whenever I heard he did that with the Justice League, I was like, he really did that. He really wow. The ego on this man is just like you're gonna have a silhouette of Superman and Wonder Woman, and then you have Ezra and Jason making jokes about having sex with fish. Right after Zach made Aquaman a what's the word I'm looking like he made him into a like somebody that should be taken seriously.
Like a king.
Yeah. Majestic. He made him majestic.
A majestic
and then,
king joking about having sex with fish.
Yeah.
Yeah, good job, James. Good job, buddy. What if Gunn had embraced Cavill and put his arm around him? Would we still continue the SnyderVerse? Probably not.
No.
Probably not. Gunn is completely narcissistic and ego driven. He is not about the story. I don't care what he says. If he was about the story, he could have just, told some stories with the existing actors. He doesn't need to replace anybody. But then again, it's a slippery slope because Warner Brothers doesn't have any money. So it's kind of, it's kind of two ways. It's the fact that Gunn is a narcissist and that WB doesn't have any money. But I'm with Apass in the fact that even if WB had money, I still think that Gunn would have recast the majority of the actors because he wants to make his own mark. It's about him. It's not about anybody else. It's all about James Gunn and his wife.
And his brother. And
his brother too. Yes. The weasel.
The weasel. Whenever they announced that slate, and he was like, "At DC Studios, story is king." I'm like, yeah, dude. No, it's not.
Yeah. He said that like he was doing.
Sure it is.
He said that like he was doing an advertisement for KFC. Like he was like I pictured, the only thing missing was the big bucket of chicken that's always in all of our buddies' thumbnails. He's that's the only thing that was missing. Where I'm from, chicken is king, and he's got all these. He sounded like Colonel Sanders in that little promo that he made up 10 minutes before he went live, and I just I don't trust anything that guy says.
Not at all. No.
Didn't see Shazam, but that sounds absurd. You didn't miss anything if you didn't see Shazam. What's up, Showcaz? The only time the Donnerverse worked in a modern setting was in Smallville, and the little shout outs to it in the Arrowverse. Yeah. It doesn't work in movies, as we have seen. They need to let it go. They can't bring back Reeve from the dead and do a cameo, so let it lie. Well, allegedly, Showcaz, they did dig up Christopher Reeve because apparently Christopher Reeve is in The Flash. I mean, I don't know if that's true, but, we'll
have to wait and see.
We'll have to wait and see. Yeah, I know me and Apass are like on the edge of our seats with this Shazam thing. I mean, this Flash thing. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Come on, man. Come on with Shazam in the Flash. Is Shazam in the Flash? Because, Zachary Levi, he begged. So is Shazam in the Flash? That's what we gotta ask Skywalker. Is Shazam in the Flash?
That's the real question.
That's the real question. Yes. Shazam, the biggest superhero flop of all time. Did Zachary Levi bark his way into the Flash? That's what I want to know. And then let's see, or beg his way into the Flash. Sil, what's up, man? Sil says Cavill light. They say, yeah, Cavill light. That's exactly right. Honestly,
that's the perfect description for
Cavill light.
Discount. No, it's Cavill light.
It's Cavill light. Cavill light. That definitely is. I give, because he's not. He's just ridiculous. these characters, they look so much like Cavill. It's scary. It's so scary, you know.
Yeah.
Butter or margarine, take your pick. I mean, it's the same thing. I mean, what are we gonna do?
Right.
Those are your choices. Butter or margarine. I mean, Cavill
Miracle
White.
Whip or mayonnaise.
Miracle Whip or mayonnaise. Exactly. I mean, it's just it's just ridiculous on so many levels. I mean,
Can't make it up.
Holt would be amazing. Holt is a good actor. I will admit.
He is.
I think he's good, and I hope that if they bring him in as Lex Luthor or as anybody, they allow him to act and they give him some material. Because I know he was up for Pattinson's role in Batman.
Yeah.
And
wasn't he Matt Reeves' first choice or something? And
yeah,
he couldn't get him?
allegedly he was Matt Reeves' first choice.
He would have been good.
I think he would have been good. I think I would have ended up liking the movie a little better, to tell you the truth.
Me, 100%. 100%.
I mean, I don't like Pattinson. I think Pattinson was completely miscast. And I think that's part of the problem. Casting is a big thing when it comes to these movies.
Mm-hmm.
Which is why you're getting this, because that James Gunn knows he needs a Henry Cavill like actor, at least in terms of look, to be able to fill the boots of Henry Cavill.
Yep.
I mean, it's just you can't make this stuff up. It's insane to me. There was that kid, that Wolfgang Novogratz kid that everybody thought was going to be Superman early on, and then he just kind of faded. I know Syl, I think Syl said on a recent podcast. Syl, if you're still here, correct me if I'm wrong, but I thought you had said that you thought that Wolfgang is still going to be the guy, is still going to be Superman, which, if that's true, then he's somebody who's different. He's somebody who looks different from Henry Cavill. He doesn't look like a Cavill clone, like Corenswet or Howie Cavill. He doesn't look like that. So we have these, so we kind of look. We should I should show Howie Cavill one more time here, because I think I think we got to give Howie his due. Because this is another. Let's show Howie one more time here for people. The soccer guy. He does look like a soccer guy. Is he at a soccer stadium?
What did you say,
FIFA? What is it? Is it FIFA? I don't know. Is it FIFA?
No, you said something earlier about him, like FIFA. Yeah.
The FIFA Superman. Yeah. Soccer Superman. There he is. He's the guy, right? This is the guy. This is the guy that everybody thinks is going to be, is going to be the new Superman, right? Another Corenswet looking dude.
Yeah.
He kind of has that. People forget that Donner has one movie, Superman. His version of Superman 2 is For Me Too Late. Anyway, I think it's too late for WB now. There's been a shift, and people are bored of superhero movies and moving towards video game movies. It's an interesting perspective. Yeah. Although if you look at the money that Super Mario Brothers is making, the movie's on video and it's still making money at the box office.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, that just goes to show you the power of it. But it needs to be a good video game movie. That's the
Yeah.
thing. Now, did you see Super Mario Brothers?
I haven't yet.
Oh,
Mm-mm.
okay. Okay. Well, I mean,
No.
are you? I don't know. I mean, are you a fan? Do you like those
I mean, I'm kind
Nintendo
of
video games?
I've definitely played Super Mario and the other Nintendo games, but I'm not like as I'm kind of indifferent to like a movie cinematic universe. You know what I mean? If they were to do that, but
Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
Well, I mean, considering all the money that movie's making now, I'm pretty sure a cinematic universe is inevitable at this point.
It would be smart though for them to do that, I think, because it's just there's such a huge fan base behind it.
Kenneth Gardner's in the chat. He says 10 years ago, when BVS was announced, John Campea said if WB messed up with BVS, that DC movies are done and WB will not recover from it. Now in 2023, DC have not recovered at all. Well, DC hasn't recovered from anything since they keep making one bad decision after the next. They did mess up with BVS because they released that god awful butchered theatrical cut,
Facts.
and they didn't release the Ultimate Edition, which is a very coherent and great movie, whereas the theatrical cut was butchered and clunky in a lot of areas. But that was the studio's fault. That wasn't Zack Snyder's fault. So, yeah. What Disney and Marvel wanted, no competition. Yeah. I feel the Snyder cut will be WB's nail in the coffin. I won't be surprised that they won't be around by the next decade because they stopped the very thing that would have saved the studio, as Zack Snyder's Justice League proved. You're right. You're right. They're going to get sold. They're going to get sold in the next couple of years, and it's going to be all new blood, and they're going to do what they want. They're going to do a whole new thing. I don't know. Do you think, Apass, there's a chance that Superman Legacy might not happen? You think there's a chance that movie, that something could happen where that movie just never makes it out?
Do I hope that happens? Yes. But do I think it will? I mean, I don't. It's hard to say, to be honest. Like, I mean, I think part of me thinks it will come out.
Oh yeah, I think it's going to come out too.
It's going to come out, but like
I kind of thought it. Well, I was kind of hoping a little bit that maybe it would, but see, now I kind of want it to come out for a couple of different reasons, because we know it's not going to be better than Man of Steel. Definitely not.
Know.
It's not going to be on anywhere near the epic level of Man of Steel. It's going to be inferior to the 1978 Superman that it wants to emulate so badly. And James Gunn just isn't talented enough, and this will knock him down a few pegs. Because after Superman Legacy fails, what's he going to say? He's going to blame it on Snyder fans for not going to see it?
Yeah. We're always the scapegoat.
Yeah.
We're either I mean, honestly, like we're responsible for the movies failing. What's the other side of the argument?
We're always responsible for the failures.
Yeah.
We review bomb the movies. We don't go to see them. We don't show up for the movies. If they're a success,
we're not going to acknowledge the success.
Yeah, we didn't have nothing. We didn't have nothing to do with it. It wasn't Snyder fans if the movie was a success, but if the movie was a failure, it's all the Snyder fans' fault for not going to see it. So who's at fault here? Like, how is it? How do you are we a minority or are we the majority?
I think we are the majority.
I think we are too. And honestly, I think the general audience, by and large, enjoys Zack Snyder's films. They really do. I can't tell you the number of people I know in real life who were like, who outside of all this, who was like, uh, after Zack Snyder's Justice League, I was really excited. I wanted to see more of that. Like even people that didn't like BVS were hyped after Zack Snyder's Justice League.
Yeah. Yeah, because like they finally understood what he was doing. Like they understood, like, oh, that's why it was so dark before. It's always darkest before the dawn, hence the name Dawn of Justice. Like, I just
And this is a great point too. Gunn wants to do the Gunverse, not the SnyderVerse. I can understand that much. Yeah, I can understand that too.
Mm-hmm.
But by that very same train of thought, it makes sense to finish what you start and then start something new. It makes no sense at this point when the hype is so high for the conclusion of Zack's story for them to reboot. That's my biggest problem with all of this. I don't really care what James Gunn does. I understand that he wants to do the Gunverse. Hell, if I was directing the movies, I'd want to do the ZodVerse. I understand what that is, and I'm not begrudging James Gunn for that. What I'm mad at James Gunn for is the way that James Gunn is going about everything. The way that he goes after fans, the way that he lies. You cannot believe anything that comes out of his mouth. He gets caught in 4K straight up lying about everything, and then he has people defending him. And it doesn't make any sense. Like, dude, he was caught. There's evidence that he lied. There's legit evidence that he's not telling the truth here. So why are you defending him? That's my problem with James Gunn. It's not.
Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
No, that's it. I
was just gonna say, like, you have Ben Affleck, literally, like, case in point, like, just shutting down everything that Gunn was saying about his involvement in the DCU. I mean, you can't get more, like, obvious than that. Like, absolutely not.
The KFCU doesn't have any money to buy seasoning for that dried chicken. Is George Reeves Superman in the Flash? I don't know. I didn't ask Skywalker. I don't know. He didn't.
That would be interesting.
Did they dig up Christopher Reeve for? Did they dig him up for the Flash movie? I heard that they did. So, the only good thing about Shazam 2 is they finally gave a nod to the actor from the Filmation Shazam show with his cameo in the movie, continuing a DC tradition of past actors making cameos. DC movies, when they were playing the character previously, nobody liked the Batman. If you watch those reaction channels, not the shill reaction channels, the normal ones, they all say it's boring and reacting to it. Yeah, nobody likes it. Nobody likes it. And even the ones that do like it, it's so funny. I've had conversations with so many people who think the movie's a masterpiece, and then I ask them, "Okay, cool. So, are you going to watch it again?" Well, not for a while. I might watch it again soon, but
not
anytime soon. Well, if it's a masterpiece and you love it so much, how can you? What do you mean? So the movie does not have any rewatchability, but it's the greatest movie ever. I can't tell you the number of times I've watched Zack Snyder's Justice League. I can't tell you how many times I've watched Man of Steel or BVS or Watchmen or 300 or any other Zack Snyder movie. I mean, if it's a movie you love, if it's a movie you think is a masterpiece, you're going to watch it more than once, and you're going to watch it multiple times, and you're going to be enthralled and get something new from it every time you watch it.
Which is something that even haters can't say about Zack Snyder's movies. There's always something new that you discover each time you watch one of his movies. Like there's just so many layers in each one of his movies. Like that is what I love about his films. To be like, that's one of the many reasons. But yeah,
Yeah, this is a great thing here from Darth Plato. Well, sir, you see, we're not hiring you for your acting chops. We just think you can pass for Henry Cavill. Sort of. Probably.
Maybe.
You could probably pass for Henry Cavill. And Sil says that Corenswet is more likely, I guess,
Yeah.
other than Wolfgang Novogratz, I guess. Yeah, that's what I think too. I think it's going to be Corenswet. I really do. Like I said, they've been grooming him since before the Snyder Cut came out. He was, I've seen so many articles. I think there was like an article in Good Housekeeping or something about him becoming Superman one day. I mean, he's been on the radar for a while, and he definitely looks like Henry Cavill light. He definitely does.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I predict a potential flop for the sequel. Make Howie a Green Lantern. Oh yeah, the soccer guy. We'll make him FIFA Superman. We'll make him Green Lantern. FIFA Superman. There he is. He looks like he should be on the cover on like a PlayStation soccer game.
Oh my god.
There he is. That's right. That's right, folks. Looks like a real Madrid soccer player, and the JL emblem looks like a soccer one next to that picture. Yeah, there you go. There he is. He's part of the Justice League. FIFA Superman 2025, ladies and gentlemen. This is happening. This is happening. We can all get excited.
Yeah.
I'm ecstatic to see who's going to play Superman. I'm waiting with bated breath.
Yep.
I haven't played Mario since Donkey Kong in the 80s arcade. The pattern started with Pokemon, then Sonic, then Mario. It's a buildup of success, and it's not lost on me that the video game movies doing well are based on Sega and Nintendo, who basically saved the industry. This pattern is the same one that we saw with Batman Begins and Iron Man, which changed the shift of superhero movies. Yeah, I think that's where we are. Like your audiences are hungry for something else, and the MCU is becoming stale. If you ask me, the MCU's been stale for a while now, but DC is the absolute worst at this point. It doesn't get any worse than DC. Plato says, I like Superman 78. I saw it in theater, but I didn't like Clark Kent acting like the Pink Panther. WB will be sucked into Universal Comcast, aren't interested in running two studios, and Universal wants WB assets. Yeah, like Hanna-Barbera, DC, and Potter for their theme parks. Yeah, that all makes sense. I could totally see it. I could totally see Universal swooping in and taking it. And I'm 100%. If I were a betting man, I would bet on Universal acquiring them.
Oh, for sure. For sure.
I mean, it just makes so much sense for all of the reasons you've mentioned. It just seems completely right. Like, you know what? Yeah, we're going to do this. And I can guarantee Gunn won't be there once they come in. Because, hey, Universal, they're fans of Zack Snyder. It's just, I don't know what to tell you. I think that'd be the best thing that could happen. You're right about Warner Brothers making bad choices when it comes to DC films and why they are not successful. From Superman 3, BVS, Justice League, and Suicide Squad are done by bad choices by Warner Brothers. Yeah, Warner Brothers doesn't. They're too, like, what's the word? They meddle too much with their
Yeah.
creators. And they it's not just superhero movies that they've done this. They've been doing this since the days of like Orson Welles and older movies. They've been meddling with stuff. That's their thing. They've kind of they're known for their studio meddling. That's almost as big of a trademark as like say like Bugs Bunny for Warner Brothers. I mean, it's what they do.
That's the curse of
the only person they don't meddle with for some reason is Christopher Nolan. I mean, they let him do whatever he wants.
Yeah.
But they ended up losing it. They ended up losing him too. So that tells you how bad they got their thing going. Saffron is the old regime left behind to carry on their work. Yeah, I agree.
100%.
Peter Saffron was not a good name when he was announced. And I was seeing negative dots on the wall because he is part of the old regime. That's what a lot of people don't realize that, but he is actually, because he was there with Hamada, he was there with Emmerich and all them. He's definitely that guy. If he wasn't there, maybe things might be a little bit different, because I think Gunn just wants to do what he wants to do, but that doesn't stop Gunn from being a liar. He's definitely a liar. WB has never ran their properties right. Look at Looney Tunes, Scooby-Doo, DC, etc. The only reason some of the films were successful was in spite of WB, not because of them. Yeah,
that's true.
I think so. The Gunverse is just supporting characters which would have existed nicely if the DCU as between the SnyderVerse arc, it won't work as the main attraction. Well, he could put his wife in every movie and just have her basically be the key to everything. She'll be the Nick Fury of the. She'll be Nikki Fury of DC. She'll be Nikki Fury, one of the Furies. One of Darkseid's wacky female companions. Nikki Fury, wacky zany Nikki Fury. And she'll just come out. She'll be in every film. She's the glue that holds the multiverse together. She'll be better than the Flash. She'll be able to go into different parts of the multiverse, and you'll see her in all sorts of. She's the key, guys. She's the key.
Forget Lois Lane. We've got Jennifer Holland. That's all we need. Harcourt, isn't that her character's name? Harcourt. Oh yeah, something like that.
She's going to be, and I bet you she's the cameo at the end of the Flash. Her and that guy that dude that is in all of James Gunn stuff. That dude that likes to stuff food down his throat. What's his name?
Yeah, I know who you're talking about.
Yeah, you know who I'm talking about.
People,
that trolls people, just like Gunn. He's James Gunn's protege.
Yep.
I criticized the Batman on day one, but it's boring. Is subjective. It can't be responded. Yeah, it is. It's not a very. Let's just say for the Batman, there's not a lot of substance there.
Mm-mm.
It's a very dry movie. It doesn't give you anything to think about. It's just sort of. I think that it's like NyQuil, to be honest with you. I mean, I've had, if you're having trouble sleeping, and I tell this to people, put the Batman on. You will fall asleep. It's like when you're having trouble sleeping and you try to read a book, but you're tired but not tired enough to sleep, and then you try to read a book and you start to feel your eyes get tired, and then you read a couple of paragraphs and then you're ready to lay down and knock out. Yeah. That's how the Batman is. You start it up from that opening sequence where he's being a peeping Tom in the window, you start to just like, you're like, okay, and the movie starts, with the generic music playing, and you're just like, okay, cool. And then you watch it, and you right before, you see the scene with the Riddler in the duct tape. Your
Oh
eyes start
God.
glazing over, and you're ready to just fall out. It's perfect. It's like NyQuil. I love it. I love for that purpose. It's I watched the Batman 2 times, but I slept through it 2 times. Yep. Yeah.
I gotta admit, when I went to see that, I saw it with my brother. I didn't fall asleep, but I was very, very bored. I was. I was like, is this a Batman movie? Like, I'm so, yeah, so, could you imagine Batflex buying on like, just like on, Diana like that, by the like, just like any female, like Zach having Batfleck do that in any of the movies, that it would be like, oh, he's a pervert. He's this,
Well,
that, and
like,
the other thing.
yeah. Anything. See, because that's what people want. People would love to be able to pin that type of thing on Zack Snyder. That's why
Yes.
you get all these. That's why you get all these rude and despicable things that people say online about Zack Snyder and his daughter. I've seen some of the most
It's
disgusting things
disgusting.
said about them
Disgusting.
that I can't even repeat these things because they're so vile and evil and disgusting and disrespectful and just some of the worst things you could ever imagine. And I don't get it. You're saying this about this man because you don't like his movies, because you disagree with the way that he you know directed these superheroes. We're talking about superhero movies, and you're making all of these disgusting insinuations and things about him and his daughter and all of these things. I've never it just boggles my mind. These are the types of people who really do need to go out, need to touch grass, need to have some human to human relationships, not human to AI relationships. These are those kinds of people, because at this point, man, it,
They need to
I,
move along.
they do.
Move
It's
along.
very, very bad.
It,
I've never seen. I've never seen it. Why it gets to that point, and yet James Gunn, who you have actual reasons
to
to,
dislike, like,
yeah, yeah.
those jokes are despicable. Like, I the excuses that are made for those jokes. Like, oh, oh
And
man.
and people forget that Disney fired him because of
I think
those jokes.
I think that was, yeah, I have my theories on that.
Well, what do you think? What do you think about that? What's your view on that? You think they
I I I mean, I honestly think, like, it was just, I mean, they were trying to have their, like, the PR stuff, like, "Oh, yeah, we can't have him working." But honestly, I think he wasn't fired to begin with. I think it was just, like, some
just a PR
PR
stunt?
thing. Yeah.
Wow,
I
that's an
think it was
interesting
an
theory. I never actually thought of it that way, but wow, that's a different perspective. I like that. Yeah.
and I could be wrong, but, like, it's just I think I'm speculating. I'm gonna preface, I'm speculating, okay? People on the internet that like to dissect every little thing. Um, so, yeah, I think it was a PR thing. I think also, I mean, it's obvious he's a double agent, for, like, Marvel, DC. Like, it was just, like, because, like, what are the chances of, like, WB being like, "Oh, yeah, we're gonna take up this guy because he has was so successful with Marvel, so therefore it's gonna automatically apply to DC." Didn't translate at all, um, but still got the job as the head of DC Studios, which is why I think if Superman Legacy doesn't do well, I still think they're gonna keep him because he just never is held accountable for anything, whether it be for those jokes or for the way that he, like, loses the studio money.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, but that's brilliant. I actually never thought of it like that. That he wasn't fired. Wow, that makes me think about, like, that really puts it into perspective, because they had
Yeah.
it. Because remember when they had brought up all these things about, possibly letting Taika Waititi come in and direct Guardians of the Galaxy 3, and then the way all the actors and people behind the scenes rallied behind him and said that they wouldn't do the movie if he wasn't back as director. And there was all this stuff, and it just, to me, yeah, wow. But as a publicity stunt, it was definitely a successful one.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Yep.
Makes perfect
And
sense.
he demolished DC even more.
Well, again, you already know my theories about him being the Trojan horse to come
He
in
is.
and basically bring DC down to the point where now he can merge it with Marvel and have a Marvel versus DC thing, and have Marvel swoop in and
But you've been vindicated. He admitted that himself.
yeah.
So
Yeah, he
yeah.
did. He did admit that. So it's just insane. It's just insane. And maybe one day we will find out that the whole, when they fired him, the whole thing was just a publicity stunt. That would be amazing to find out that that's true.
Yeah.
Darkwing Duck was more intriguing than Reeves Batman. Yeah, I agree. I couldn't agree more with that statement. Darkwing Duck is not only more intriguing, but far more entertaining than the Batman. The Batman was not an entertaining movie at all. It wasn't entertaining. But you know what? I think this guy, FIFA Superman, hashtag FIFA Superman, is going to be entertaining, huh? You think? You think he's got the look, right? He's gonna be Superman, FIFA Man. FIFA Man 2025. I could just see him with, Photoshop. I could see him with his talking dog right next to him. Just the two. One man, one dog.
Mr. J is still in the chat. Please make a meme of this man and a dog, please. Just
make Howie Kite Man. Yeah, Howie and oh my god. Knowing Gunn, he would make Weasel the Child Killer Superman's new sidekick. Yeah.
Oh
yeah.
my god, he would.
I could see that. That would be total James Gunn. That'd be something he would do. And it'd be something completely different that we've never seen before. It wouldn't be a good thing.
Oh hell no.
But it would be something different that you could see fit. Superman, and then we get Superman and the Weasel. We'd get like a whole trilogy of movies. Superman and the Weasel. Oh my god.
That would happen.
Gunn is prepping to do Justice League Antarctica. And I don't know, Apass. On that note, I think we should start wrapping things up.
Yeah.
I mean, because now we're talking about Justice League Antarctica.
Yeah, that's how you know.
That's how you know. That's like a good place to. That's like a good place to stop. Thank you for this, because Justice League Antarctica. I mean, I don't know. I might change the name of the episode to Justice League Antarctica and just put the ice caps in the thumbnail.
There you go.
I mean, maybe we'll get another 13,000 views on this video. So thank you to all those that have been watching this stream. Thank you for those in the chat, and for those watching on the replay. You guys really blew up the last episode that Apass and I did, and I couldn't be happier. like I said, you're going to should be expecting big things from us, because Apass and I are going to definitely be doing more episodes. They might not be as often as some of our fellow content creators do, but we'll get them in when we can. And as long as you guys are all here for it and are watching on the replay, I think we're going to be in good shape. Darth Plato says Justice League Antarctica, starring the Penguin, Killer Frost, Captain Cold, and Mr. Freeze. Yes. So
that sounds more interesting than Superman Legacy.
It sure does. Any final thoughts?
I think that was it.
Okay.
That was it. That was, yeah.
All right. Well,
no, I gotta say thank you to everybody that has been showing some support, and expect some great things in the future.
Absolutely. I just want to say it's beautiful streaming with you. It's amazing.
Yeah.
Always a lot of fun, and we covered a lot of topics tonight, and I couldn't be happier. I think this is a good format. I think people, you can expect more like this, where we're going to cover like a lot of the DC stuff. And then you're going to get, but you are going to get some other fun topics thrown in, like the AI microwave that we talked about tonight, and that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Because it's just to add more, just to add more to it and give you more stuff. So on that note, we can end with hashtag sell SnyderVerse to Netflix, sell DSJL to Netflix. Thank you everybody for being here. I appreciate all of you. You guys are wonderful. I feel like we have a great community in here of people who come in and support, and I love it so much. You guys are amazing, and it makes it all worthwhile. So Apass and I will see you next time. Good night, everybody. Share, subscribe, all that stuff that I don't like to say. I feel like I'm special and shouldn't have to say that, but I guess I'll throw that in there just to remind you, if you haven't done so already. Would definitely appreciate it. Thank you very much.